Okay, just as a quick review of what we did last time, we're going to go through and think about the components of each of the equations. So the amplitude is that 2. The b value is 1/2. It is already factored out, so I don't need to. The phase shift is the c value, and since it's a minus pi, it's going to be to the right pi, and then up 1 because that's what I'm adding at the end. So remember, the period is where I take the normal cycle of 2 pi and divide it by the b value. And 2 pi divided by 1/2 is 4 pi, and so that is going to be its period. It's a sine graph, so it starts in the middle, on the midline. Okay, the next one is a cosine graph. It's got an amplitude of 4, that's the a value. The b value, there's nothing in front of the x and nothing factored out, so that b value is understood 1. The phase shift is inside, it's minus pi over 2, so I go opposite to the right pi over 2. My vertical shift is down 2 because I'm subtracting 2 at the end. My b value is 1. I'm cosine, so my period is just going to be over the 2 pi. And then my starting point normally for a cosine is high, but because it's got a reflection over the x, this is going to start low. And then the last one is tangent. So remember, tangent doesn't have as much. There is no amplitude. There is no starting point. This one has no b value. The the phase shift is, since it's plus pi over 4, it goes to the left pi over 4. And my vertical shift is up 1. Tangent has a period of pi. Okay, so now we're going to take attributes and we're going to write the equation from what it's given to me. So amplitude is the a value. The period is where I'm going to get my b, but I've got to do a little math to find the b value. Shift right means I'm adding pi over 2, or it's a positive pi over 2, and that's my c value. And then down is a -7, and that's my d value. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my 4 pi, and it equals to 2 pi divided by b. Okay, so I think about cross products. 4 pi b equals 2 pi. And then I take that 2 pi and I divide it by 4 pi, and I get pi over 2 is my b value. So now f of x equals, it says sine or cosine. I'm going to start with sine. It doesn't really matter. My a value is 5, and then sine. And my b value I just found at pi over 2, and then x minus pi over 2, which is my phase shift, and then down 7. So there's my equation. Okay, the next one, reflection over the x-axis. That makes my phase shift, my a, just so I don't forget, it's a -1. There is no amplitude, so I've got to remember the negative. Period of 8, that's where I'm going to get my b value. Shift left, that's my c value, so that's a negative. And shift up is +3, and that's my d value. So 8 equals 2 pi over b. 8b equals 2 pi. Divide by 8, and that's pi over 4. So now this time I'll just do cosine, doesn't really matter. So the reflection of cosine, now my b value is pi over 4, and then x minus -1, and then +3. And there's that equation. And then lastly, I've got another one. I've got an amplitude of 3. There's my a. My period is pi over 3. That's where I'm going to get my b value from. My vertical shift up is a d value. There is no phase shift, so I don't put anything in. So then I'm going to take my period of pi over 3 and set it to 2 pi over b. This time it's a fraction equal to a fraction. So pi b equals 6 pi. Divide by pi, and I get my b value of 6. So I'll go back to sine this time. Amplitude of 3, sine. I've got a 6, and I have no c value, so there's nothing really to factor out. It's 6x, and then up 1, and there's that equation. Okay, now we're going to look at graphs and write the equation. I see right here it's sine, but I'm giving you 5 points to look at, and this is my start to stop. So this is where I start, and this is where I stop. And that makes one full cycle because it's 5 points. I'm going to go and I'm going to put my, oops, wrong pen. I am going to put my midline in. And my midline is my vertical shift, which is my D value. So that is up 3. My amplitude is going to be the distance between the midline and one of the extremes. So from 3 to 5, that is 2. My B value comes from seeing if I have a change in my period. So I go from the start here to the stop here. So I'm going to do pi, which is where I stopped, minus negative pi, and that equals 2 pi. So I stuck with 2 pi, which is what a cycle of sine is. So my B value is 1. And then my C value comes from the starting is over here instead of at 0, and that's at negative pi. So now my equation is f of x, my sine, and it's going up from the mid to up to high, so there's no reflection. So amplitude of 2, sine graph. And then my b value is 1, so I don't have to put anything there. And then x minus negative pi, and then plus 3. And there's my equation. Okay, this next one is telling me that I have a cosine graph. I can look and I can see my 5 points. And my 5 points is starting high, mid, low, mid, high, which tells me it's a cosine. Remember, my midline is where I get my D value, and I'm up at 3. My A value is the amplitude, so remember the amplitude is the distance between here, so from 3 to 5 is 2. My B value is seeing if I changed my period any, so I start with 3 pi over 2 minus negative pi over 2. Which ends up giving me 4 pi over 2, which is 2 pi. So my B value does not change any. Now my C value is where I started, so usually start on the x-axis. I move this way. So my C value is negative pi over 2. So now f of x, my cosine starts up high, so it's positive. So amplitude of 2, cosine, B value is 1, so I don't need to worry about putting anything, minus negative pi over 2 plus 3. Okay, here's another graph. I see I have my 5 points, mid, low, mid, high, mid. It tells me that's a sine graph. There's my midline, and it's down at negative 2, so I shifted it down 2. My amplitude, remember, is the distance between the midline and one of the extremes, and that is just 1. But I'm going mid to low, so I'm going to put my negative there to remember that it is a reflection. It starts mid and goes down low. Okay, my B value is going to see if my period changed. So I'm here to here, and this is 3 pi over 4 minus negative pi over 4, which is 4 over 4, which is just pi. So my period has changed. I have a b value. So pi is equal to 2 pi over b. Pi b equals 2 pi. So b equals 2. So my b value is 2. My c value is where I started, and I moved to the left, so it's negative, and it is with pi over 4. So there's all my values that I need. So f of x, I'm not going to forget that negative. I don't need to put the 1 because 1 amplitude doesn't change anything. This is a sine graph. And then I put the b value, parentheses. If you don't, you're going to have to change your c value. So always put the parentheses. X minus negative pi over 4 minus 2. And there's that equation. Okay, last graph. Here are my 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can see that this is a cosine graph. And there's my midline. I went down 2. Then my I see that I'm cosine and I'm starting low, so I can't forget the negative. And then my amplitude here is the distance between here, and that is just 1, so it doesn't change any. My b value, I've got to see if I have a change in period. So 0 minus negative pi equals pi. So it changed. I have a b value. So pi is equal to 2 pi over b, just like the last one. So pi b equals 2 pi. B equals 2. So b equals 2. My c value is I'm starting all the way over here at negative pi. So I have my equation. So I have f of x equals the negative because of the reflection, cosine. I have a b value of 2, parentheses, x minus negative pi, and then minus 2, and then minus 2. And there's our equations.